Game Developers Conference, and now we're in conversation with Martine Spaans, who's the Chief Marketing Officer at Gramble, which is really the social network where you have to be if you're a gamer or if you're a game developer network. And of course, along with that, she's also helping people publish their own games, their own titles through her own company. Martine, great to have you here. Thank you for taking out the time and talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
So let me start by asking you this, that through your experiences watching game developers, watching gamers and the trends that are emerging with your work at Gramble, where does India right now feature, or where does it fit in the international scheme of things?
Well, I mean, I've been in the casual gaming space for 7 years, and it's really astonishing when I look back on 7 years ago and right now how fast India has grown in terms of not only the amount of studios that are here, but also really the quality of the games. So it's been really impressive to watch that.
Okay. What do you really think is now happening out there? Because platforms are really shifting, and mobile and tablets, and there's of course pure, quote unquote, hardcore console gaming. Where do you see these trends moving over the next 1 year or so?
When you look at like the last 2-3 years, it's been all about the scale of the screens. First, people only had like the PC and the TV, and now it's there's small screens, bigger screens, and it's all over the place. So I think we're moving towards a direction where maybe there's more crossover between those screens in a more natural way. The games that are trying to cross over now kind of do it in a forced way, and it doesn't feel natural yet for the player to switch from their mobile to their tablet to their TV. It would be really interesting to see if there are game developers out there who can really make a game experience that seamlessly goes through all devices.
And of course takes all the passionate users and gamers along with it, depending on device to device. One issue that we've kind of heard of here in the conference this time around is that how do you become visible, because it's an international market out there? How is it that people know about your game and are willing to, of course, download it or pay for it? So this visibility factor, how does one crack it?
It is extremely hard. I like comparing it to, for instance, the music industry. Right? I mean, when you look across the globe, there are like there are millions of singers. And only thousands of them get published. Only hundreds of them get known, and only maybe 10 of them become superstars. Right? It's kind of the same with game development. There's so many game developers out there, and it's impossible for all of them to make it. You really have to make a real great product, and I guess be lucky also a bit to really make get a worldwide hit.
But is the marketing muscle and the multi-million-dollar marketing budgets, is that a vital part of announcing yourself on the international stage?
For some developers, it is. I mean, again, to make the analogy with the music industry, if you get like picked up by a big record label, then of course your chances increase, and the same for game developers. I mean, if you get published, if you get help from a publisher, then of course your chances increase because big publishers have big budgets.
So what are the trends that you're sort of observing in terms of the types of games that are becoming more popular, or again, the platforms on which there's more resonance or there's more buzz, so to speak?
So what do you mean?
In terms of the types of games that are really ticking out there, which are becoming popular with gamers and with different audiences.
It's hard to say, but every store kind of has their own audience. For instance, when you look at Google Play, we see that it's typically a bit more of a younger audience, a bit more teenage, and the games there are really, the games that appeal to that audience are really popular, like racing games, for example, but also a bit more like action puzzler games. Candy Crush would be a good example of an action puzzler game. But for instance, when you look at the Amazon market, that's a more mature audience, and they like games that are a bit more slow-paced, maybe like hidden object games. Or a mahjong puzzle game that could be good for that market. So it's really every store has a different ecosystem.
Sure. What about revenue models, Martine? Where's the whole wave going between the free-to-play model and then the models where you actually go and download a game or you buy a game off a store? So what do you see outlasting? Which model do you see outlasting?
Again, it really differs per store. For Google Play, you see that everyone is looking for free games there. For just premium games, just that you buy for like 99 cents, it's a lot harder for those games to really become a top hit than a free game. While, for instance, for the Amazon market or Nook, which is another kind of tablet that's big in the US market, that people are, because the audience is more mature, people are willing to pay like 99 cents or even $2.99 for a game.
So what would your advice be to developers when they're thinking about revenue models? What should they keep in mind?
They should really keep in mind what kind of audience they're going for and what kind of store they're launching in. I mean, are you really trying to aim for instance, kids? Then you might want to look into a free-to-play game that monetizes with advertising. Because for kids it's really hard to really purchase an item in-game. Right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe then they want to go for a subscription model where the parents give the kids a subscription to the game, for example. So yeah, keep in mind what kind of audience you're targeting and what kind of store would go well with it. And then have a look at the different kind of monetization models that go with that audience. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned advertising, and that's pretty important, particularly for the free-to-play model. What are these advertising trends like, and how do you see them in different countries or different geographies where you might have had experiences?
Advertising on mobile for the last couple of years has been something really hard to tackle. It started out with just banners on mobile websites, and that became a bit clumsy. And now you see especially the last year, it's been rapidly developing. You see more video ads in between. These, of course, have a higher payout because the user's really engaged with the product in the ad for at least 10 seconds. What you also see is a lot of those models where you have to download another game to get maybe some free gold in the game that you're playing. So you see developers are really kind of playing around with those different kind of ad models. And again, it depends on your audience what might work very well. And it's also about balancing. I mean, putting like 2 ads in a 10-minute gameplay session, that's all right. It's like low frequency. But yeah, if I'm playing a game for 1 minute and in that 1 minute I'm bombarded with 5 ads, then I'm not going to play that game anymore, right? Then I'd rather play another game. Mm-hmm. So it's a big balancing game. So
but you do see it perhaps as a stable model where revenue can be generated through.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, look at TV. You got subscription TV where maybe there's no ads at all, and you got commercial TV where people are totally used to the fact that they're seeing commercials. It's become an acceptance. It's people are even using it as a toilet break. So,
sure.
In a game as well. If you're like totally concentrated on your game, you're totally in it. Seeing an ad for just a minute might be that one moment to relax before you jump into the next level.
Right. So I guess it's your first time here in India. What are the expectations from this market, or what are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, I'm already working with developers from India for quite a long time. It's great to now at this conference meet them in person. I mean, I see really the Indian market developing very fast, and especially conferences like NASSCOM where developers get the chance to exchange the knowledge. I think that really contributes. I mean, I come from a really small country, like the Netherlands. You drive through it in 2 hours. It's easy to just meet up and drive to another developer, meet up for a cup of coffee and discuss. I mean, India is so large, and it's just great to see developers from all over the country traveling to Pune to come together, exchange knowledge, and it's definitely going to help the quality of the game industry.
And how are they right now stacking up against their Western counterparts? What's the message that you'd like to give to Indian developers?
It's hard to generalize it like that. I mean, all over the world, you get developers who are already in the business for 10 years, and some are just starting out. Mm-hmm. I really see a lot of ambition here. It's very, very vibrant. Most of the developers that are just starting out here are only looking at India, and I'd like to tell them, it's not that scary to just look at the West. The markets are actually, when you look at the core of the markets, it's not that different. I mean, maybe use India as a test market because it feels so close to home, and then just go out there and publish your game worldwide. It's definitely doable.
Okay, great talking to you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you too.